Hello? 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 Hello and welcome everyone. Hopefully that startled you awake. Those were some slowish songs that we're playing, were they not? What song is that? Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that. But hello and welcome all of you amazingly professional consumers of Pax Dei and Pax Dei related content. I am Eltarii, the professional gamer. This is another amazing, very professional live stream. And we are going to be talking about some stuff. There's some stuff to be talked about, I believe. You all would agree? Would you all agree? Do you agree? I agree. I think there's stuff to talk about. Philip, hello. Akafina, hello. Honey, hello. JC, welcome. Hello and welcome, everyone. Greetings from Australia. Hopefully it's not too late, early, late. We'll see. Anyways, glad that you could all join us today. Like I said, we are going to be talking about verse 3. There's some stuff to talk about. We have a lot of things to talk about. Argentina, hello and welcome from Argentina. Yeah, so we have to talk about some stuff. Today we got an announcement that we are getting fast travel miracles before verse 3. That is something that was not to be expected, but much to be welcomed. So that made me happy. I was pretty happy about that one. I don't know about all of you, but for me, that was a good thing. That was a pretty nice thing. We're going to talk about that, some thoughts that I have on fast travel as we know it right now. We're also going to be chewing apart all of the stuff that has been announced in the last year. What I mean by that is since the beginning of 2025, we haven't really gotten that much information as it comes to verse 3 up until this point in time. So we are going to go ahead and get all the way to it. Let me adjust things here. I'm gonna get all the way over here. Yes, this is where we are. So yeah. Welcome. So we started today off with a fun little intro song. It's something that I've been working on for quite a while. And it is to commemorate the accomplishment. As many of you know, if you've been watching me on this channel or just in general in game, you know that this set is probably one of the most difficult things to craft in game. Almost as difficult as getting to a level 40 in blacksmithing or armor smithing or leatherworking or something like that. Can see your private chat. Yeah, there's no way to turn that off. That's just JC asking if I was streaming. There's nothing to hide there. But so then the song is one that I wrote specifically for this wonderful accomplishment. And it is called The Fable of the Tarnished because Eltarii is a tarnished knight currently. That is what he is. If y'all like it, maybe I'll find a way to get it all to you. Who knows? But yeah, it was definitely a fun little exercise of writing, but also just to get it all put together and actually have a rust knight to behold. It's all broken. There's literally no armor here. The zero armor. No armor located here. Look at this amazing accomplishment. The only thing we're still working on is the fine wool cloth cape. Honey, by the way, shout out to Honey. Thank you for trading me this wonderfully, almost completely broken wool cloth cape. I appreciate it. Incredible. We only have 3 blunt armor, 2 slashing armor, And that is it. Just breathe it in. Do you smell it? It's the smell of tetanus. And that's the only thing that is protecting me at this point. Yeah, incredible. And just such a cool looking. I love the only thing that's missing. This probably gets other people. Now, hopefully this doesn't upset you like it upsets me. Do you see that little line? The little line on the bottom of the cape? Y'all see that? I can't show it to you anymore because mainframe took away my ability to show the camera how it actually should look. But, whatever. That's just what it is. And let's just completely destroy everything there. But anyways, nevertheless, what are we going to talk about first? There's a couple of things to actually talk about. We're probably going to spend a little bit less time in game and a lot more time not in game and talking about what's in the Discord. We might be able to make it all the way over to our dungeon run, which is going to be getting started in 30 minutes. That's going to be happening over in Pelopis over there. If we're going to do that, we should probably switch into our dungeon armor. Here, let me just do that really quick. You all might be asking, why is Eltarii putting on cloth armor with nothing special? That is because that is my dungeon armor now. I really just, I don't like armor. We don't need armor anymore. And it happens to work for us. It happens to work semi-okay for us. It's not the best, but it does work. And work is all we need to do today. And looks like, speaking of work, that Mainframe has been doing some work behind the scenes as well and have been trying to put together a very decently sized verse 3. So I'm excited to talk about it. I don't know about all of you, but I'm very excited. Hair Techo, I wishlisted this game on Steam about a year ago. I expected more than they delivered. Yes, well, that is part of what early access is, unfortunately. So, early access, it's you're taking your dice and you're rolling. Maybe it's amazing and there's been a lot of work done. Maybe it's actually an alpha. And Pax Dei, for sure, 100% it's an alpha. It was in alpha. It came out of alpha into what one might be able to defensively call a early beta. Maybe. I don't know. What does chat think about that? But I think maybe we can say it's a beta right now. Maybe. But yeah. So yeah, this is our base. Well, I don't think you can call it a base, actually, Scar. But and also, by the way, welcome to the stream. We don't do these as frequently. We're mostly on YouTube. Live streams, for me, I try to make them big events, something where we're doing a lot of stuff. It's not just you're sitting there watching me just have a blue bar go across my screen as I'm leveling stuff up. Yeah, this is the Golden City, y'all. Sorry, I can't fit it all into one screen. I'm gonna have to scroll out here a little bit more. Okay, hold on. We're getting there. Yeah. So this is the Golden City. Thank you. I did none of it. No, I'm kidding. I have had the pleasure to make the Basilica of the First Redeemer, but that giant, very massive building right here, it looks really, really cool. Maybe at some point in time in the near future, we'll do a walkthrough. But yeah, this is the Golden City. It is comprised primarily of the Golden Company, which is making up everything that you see right here on screen, around and over to here. But then we also have the Golden Citizens, which are over here. We have the Regulators, which are right here. We have Dragon's Den. They labeled themselves just in case you forgot who they were or they didn't know what their names were. They put it right there. Honey, there you go. And then we also have Armored Saints, which are located over here in a little neighborhood. We call them neighborhoods, but basically it's that particular area. This has all been kind of planned out. And then we have some other neighbors that have joined us over here as well. And it's been awesome. Yeah. We have built significantly more than I think we might have intended to, but we're still building and still making awesome things. There's this little cool thing going on right over here that I'm not going to talk about just yet. Tanalier is still working on it, but yes. Anyways, Golden City, Golden Company. We're in Nyx. If you want to come check us out, we're located in Aris, right over here. And with fast travel happening, you will be able to get to here a lot easier. And that's because we're literally a stone's throw away from the Pax Dei. And if you get to the Pax Dei, talking about one of the new changes that is coming with the fast travel, you will be able to, if you're located in Innis Gallia, which is where we're at, you'll be able to just fast travel for 20 grace to this Pax Dei, and you will be able to visit this mighty fine city. This isn't just a city. This is full of amenities, fully stocked with many, many things. We have a grand marketplace that we have been working on for a while. It is now officially getting stocked with stuff as well. We are buying locally sourced goods and then co-locating them all in one place in our general market. And then we also have a bunch of players who have decided that they wanted to place their market stalls here as well. If you are a player who is interested in placing your stall, all you have to do is reach out to us, one of the members of the Golden Company, and you'll be able to set one of these up. These are not owned by the Golden Company. It is on Golden Company land, but it is not owned by the Golden Company. So you can, come here and sell all of your stuff. This is Sabine's stall, and they are selling a whole heck of a lot of things. This limestone is looking hot if we do not have our everything wiped before verse 3 starts. Limestone is going to be a very good thing to have. We will talk about that too. I just keep on saying, hey, we're going to talk about stuff. Eltarii, you do have to actually talk about it now. Okay, so we talked about the Golden City. We talked about everything here. And we talked about how I think everyone, especially if you're on Nyx, you need to go and find this Pax Dei located in Aris so that you will be able to teleport yourself to here all the time. We do events all of the time. We have 3 dungeon runs that we do publicly. We have pioneered how dungeon runs work, at least on our server. I think other servers are now picking up on it. There is a loot distribution system that we use. Everyone gets what they need. We distribute the tattered, we distribute the crimson. If you need it, you pretty much just ask for it and you get it. And we spread the love as far and as hard as we can. So if you want to be involved in that, all you have to do is go on Nyx, go to Aris, and you don't even have to live in Aris anymore. You could live anywhere in Innis Gallia, which, by the way, there are some incredibly awesome places all the way over in Tricassus that right now nobody lives in because it's literally in the sticks. It is far away from most things. But on April 22nd, Tricassus is now a viable option for people to go to and live in, because you will still be able to make your way all the way to the Golden City in less than 20 minutes. You'll be able to get there in less than 2 seconds, depending on how this casting time works. And you'll be able to get to all of your friends and still have the amazing views that are located in Tricassus. I feel like I'm a real estate agent right now. Am I a real estate agent? Am I a real estate agent? Am I getting paid for this? I'm not getting paid for this. So anyways, yeah. Fast travel. It's a thing. It's going to happen. You should definitely make your way over to the Golden City because that is a bigger thing. And it is already happening. It's been happening since before you could play the game. It's been happening since before 99% of players who have ever played Pax Dei have been able to play the game. The Golden City has existed. We've had 7 Golden Cities exist. all the way back to the very, very beginning. And you want to know how I know this? You want to know how I know this? Let me just scroll down here really quick for those of you. I feel like, am I tooting my own horn right now? I'm tooting my own horn. We are absolutely tooting our own horn right now. We have high energy. This is a high energy stream. This is high energy. We're so high energy. I just had dinner. That's why. Look at that. Eltarii. Who's that right there? In fact, not half. Okay. Let's not exaggerate. We'll not exaggerate. We're not exaggerating. There's no exaggeration here. Maybe like 8 of the alpha players, pre-alpha players, are on this. We know most of them. In fact, I would venture to say that about 80% of the names that are on this list has contributed to one of the 7 golden cities that have ever existed ever in Pax Dei. Alpha testers. These are the people that you get to blame because Pax Dei isn't what you wanted it to be, and you're upset about it. And I hear it. I hear you. And we're going to talk about it now because I've kept on teasing that we're going to talk about it. And people who are watching this recording on YouTube after the fact, they're going to be like, holy crap, can this dude actually just get to the point? He has teased it enough. And that's what we're going to do. So I'm going to stop walking around. I'm going to switch over to the Discord, and we're going to actually talk about things. Let's take a look at chat really quick, though, really quickly. So Friendly Fire, you asked, are we getting horses yet? The answer is yes, actually. We are getting horses. Is it going to be in verse 3? The answer is no. We will talk about that. I am banned from saying we will talk about that from now going forward. And rather, I will just talk about it. I think that teleporting will affect people gathering in cities. Concats is asking that. Absolutely. Absolutely, it will affect that. And I can tell you why. So let's come right here. Oh, what's that? Hello? Easter surprise patch? Hello, what is this sweet thing that is located on the Pax Dei official Discord? JC, we're just gonna say that we read your message. So here we go. Easter surprise patch coming April 22nd. We are very excited about it. Why? Because it has a new miracle, the miracle of fast travel, something that we've been asking for a really long time. Pax Dei is suddenly going to get very small for most of us. Is it a good thing? I don't know. I actually don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a good thing or if this is going to be a bad thing. I have mixed opinions on it. And guess what? Mixed opinions are okay. But let's talk why I have mixed opinions on this. So, numerical fast travel, what is it? It's going to cost you. It's going to cost you grace. All right? Let's talk about grace really quick. If anyone is unfamiliar with grace, because maybe you stopped playing Pax Dei before grace came out in November of 2024, grace is a system that is connected to gold. What is gold, you might ask? It is also a system that was added back in 2024 at the very, very end of the year, where now NPCs and everything drop gold. You can take gold and buy other things and use it as an exchange rate between players and you, or you can exchange gold for grace. In fact, this is what it looks like. You can come over here, you can click get more grace, and then lo and behold, you can use this wonderful, wonderful slider. Now I'm actually gonna leave this slider here while we talk about some stuff. So, just pull this over here. And here we go. You can teleport to a Petra Dei. So this is any Petra Dei, not the Petra Mea that we are all used to. If you're wondering what I'm talking about the Petra Mea. That used to be the recall to shrine button, but this is now called Petra Mea. It means my stone, literally, or my earth, or something close to that in Latin. And that is returning to your shrine, your stone, the Petra Dei that you linked to. Typically, if you spawn into the game, you are linked to the first place that you spawn to until you go to another Petra Dei in another zone and you connect yourself to that instead. When you do that, when you Petra Mea, you will go to that Petra Dei instead. So, yeah, this is the Petra Mea. Right now, if we want to teleport, you can do this every hour and you can do it for free. This is different. This is, you will be able to go to any Petra Day that you have discovered, for 20 grace points. If you want to teleport to a gateway, what the heck is a gateway? We'll get to it. And it is it costs 10 additional grace, so 30 grace points in order to get to a gateway. Petra Mea is still in our cooldown. However, you can also spend grace to bypass that. What I would imagine is the grace that you would spend to bypass that is probably going to be between 30 and 20 grace. I would wager to think that it is 30 grace points, and I have a very specific reason for that. And then lastly, travel between provinces is not yet available. That is actually a lie. Mainframe lies. Sometimes we all make mistakes. Mistakes happen, and when we're trying to communicate things can get muddled. Why am I saying that? Because Petra Mea is usable at any place that you're in. You could be an Ancien, and your Petra Day that you're linked to is located in Innis Gallia. You will be able to teleport from Ancien back to only Innis Gallia. So you will be able to travel between provinces, and you'll be able to do that using the current system that exists in the Petra Mea, and you will actually be able to refresh that cooldown by going to Grace or paying Grace for it. Now, let's talk about why I'm like meh about this. Why I'm really, really excited. And if you're watching this video, hopefully you're watching this video before April 26th. But on April 26th, if you are located on Nyx, there is a very fun event that is going to be very, very important for you, and that I think everyone who is watching, if you are located on our server, you should come and join. And what it is the Great Gallion Crawl. And what we're doing, we're all meeting actually right up here at Segurant's Abandon in the northern part of Innis Gallia at this specific gate. We're meeting there after the fast travel patch comes out. You'll be able to easily get there. You can go through the PvP zone in order to get there from all of the other provinces. You'll be able to get here. Now, what we're going to do from this point going forward is we are going to travel around all of Innis Gallia. We're going to go Segurant's Abandon, Wyvern's Gate. We're going to come down to Longris. We're going to hit Tricasis. We're going to... Now, we do still have to confirm whether or not these gates, the broken gates, are also going to have the ability to teleport to them. And we will check it on the first one that we can get to, which is going to be actually all the way over here. And we will check it. And if we can unlock it beforehand, I don't know yet, but we have a couple of days before the event, then we will also include the broken gates in our path. But we will be going through all of these, every single one of them, all the way around. And then when we land back here in Aris, to close the loop, we are going to teleport right over to Wildling Gate. From Wildling Gate, we're going to head over to Caries, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do it for as many of them as we can with the goal of doing all of them. So if you come to this event, you will literally be able to teleport anywhere that you want to in Pax Dei. It's a pretty cool deal. And it's going to be fun as heck. As Honey just said, it sounds like the people are already coming up with drinking games. Take a drink at every Petra Day. That could be really messed up depending on how fast we're getting to these things. But either way, I digress. Okay, so why do I think that this is a good thing? Why do I think this is a bad thing? Well, there are pluses and there are obviously minuses. So let's talk about some of the pluses. First things first, actually, let's come over here and go to auto draw. Come right here. All right. Auto draw. Here we go. I'm going to put this over here. I'm going to put this right here. Is that cool? Everyone can see this? Cool. Good. Bad. So what are the good things? What are the bad things? Good things. People are connected. Cool. Bad things, no effort. Okay, so there are a couple of other things that this event is happening at 9 a.m. Sorry, I should have mentioned that. Marsh, thanks for bringing that up. And it is 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, April 26th. I will be actually streaming again. I know it's rare that Eltarii streams multiple times in a 14-day period, but it is happening, I promise. And we will be streaming again, just talking, chatting, having fun. We might have maybe we will have some guest appearances, talking about a whole slew of different things. It's going to be a very fun, very long day. I think it's going to be like possibly 6 hours or more. It's going to be very fun. Feel free to join in either in game, or if you're not on Nix, feel free to come on and join us on the stream as we talk. Like I said, we'll probably have some guests joining the stream, and we'll be talking about some other stuff too. We also have potentially a friend of the channel has developed their own game that we will be playing on the side, at least at one point in time. I am teasing that. Nico, if you're here, let me know. But either way, good things. People are connected. No effort, though, on the bad side. What do I mean by no effort? Well, after you unlock this particular, like Petra Day, you don't have to ever go back to it. You can just teleport back to it. And in my opinion, what that means is, well, it's going to make the world feel a lot smaller. People aren't going to explore as much. The interactions that you have randomly as you're running from place to place is going to be less. Now, here's another good thing. It costs a lot. All right. What do I mean by that? Well, I said I was going to keep this open, but I didn't hold my promise and I closed it. So you teleport once, costs 20, right? Every day when you log in, you get 10 grace. For the low price of 5 gold coins, if you go and kill 2 Inquisitors, you can get a second 10 grace, which means you can teleport to 1 location in your province. All right. Bump this up to 15 gold. Now you can get all the way to a gate in 1 day's login, right? So you log in, you get 10 grace, then you pay 15 gold to get 20 grace. 20 plus 10 is 30. 30 means you can get to a gateway, which means you can easily get to a couple of places. Lioness, nominally, everyone wants to get to Lioness, right? To get that pure iron, but also maybe to get into some more PvP fighting and to get there more quickly. But then also you would be able to either get a buff, a crafting buff, or you'd be able to go and teleport yourself to specifically another home valley. Rengree, you're asking if we're going to do other provinces on another day. Depending on how successful this first event is on doing the tour, and depending on how far we get, if we're only able to get through all of Innis Gallia, then we will do another event the following, couple of weeks where we'll go and do circuits where the next week, maybe we do Carries. The next week, maybe we do Ancien. The next week, we do Mary. But we're going to try and get as much of it done as we can for the great Gallion Crawl. Now, back to the Grace. This all sounds fine and dandy. However, the gold starts scaling very, very quickly. So if you want to travel from, let's say you are located in Aris, because that's where we're at, and you want to get all the way to Ancien, and you want to do it through fast travel. Well, there's a couple of solutions that you can take here, but really what you'd want to do is you would fast travel to the Wildling Gate. After you get to the Wildling Gate, you walk through it. You come out on Carrie's side. You then teleport yourself over to the Ancien Gate. That would be located in the north. And then you would walk through that, and then you would teleport yourself to whatever specific home valley you want to go to. Let's tally that up. Let's tally that up. we'll just come down here and expand this really quick. That means it's going to cost you 30 to go from Aris to Gate. Carries. Then it's going to cost you another 30 to go from Carries to Gate Ancien. And then it's going to cost you another 20 to go from Ancien to Ancien. Home Valley, right? So in total, you're going to spend 80 grace for being able to fast travel. 80. If we come back over here, you start off with 10 when you log in every day. If you wanted to get to 80, you're going to have to spend 520 gold that day in order to get enough grace to do that travel. 520 gold. All right. That's approximately maybe an hour, hour and a half if you're really effective of farming in order to get that gold. It's pretty expensive. So you don't want to do this all of the time. Why? Because the grace scales. I mean, at the end of the day, maybe one day on this channel, we will spend 21,221,720 grace in order to get a full redemption of 240 grace. 21 million gold to get 240 grace. That would just be hilarious. We should do it for the memes. But at the end of the day, most players are not going to be able to afford 120 grace a day, right? And that would only get you, it wouldn't get you very, very far. So it's still significantly limiting the amount of traveling that we can do. And it's important to note that in Pax Dei right now, it's only Gallia, but in the future, it's also going to be Gothia, Anatolia. Like there's going to be several Iberia. There's going to be several other whole provinces that you're going to be able to go to. And if you're trying to skip between all of these and you can't go between them, then the grace costs are going to be very large. It's going to be very, very large. Talking about, do I think grace will be wiped? I mean, at the end of the day, everything still is going to get wiped. Everything is getting wiped before the game is released. We know that Pax Dei is getting officially released sometime in 2025. 2025 is the year of Pax Dei, but we don't know when. I think we have at least one more wipe that is going to occur before release happens because they want to test a couple of the initial hypotheses that they have before fully releasing the game, and they can't reset the clocks anymore. That's my thought on that. Now, there will be in the future other ways to earn grace. So don't think that this is the only way is by exchanging grace or exchanging gold for grace. And this is the only way. We do know that the developers have spoken about altars before, and there might be other potential ways for players to earn grace that is not directly connected to gold, but that is going to be something that will have to be a significant amount of time spent by a player in order to acquire grace in this other way. You can think of it almost like a trade skill, or at least that's how I think of it right now. I don't know if that system is real. This is hypothetical, but based on what information the developers have published and provided us, they have mentioned altars in the past, and it does sound like there will be alternative ways, not ulterior ways to gain grace for certain players. That is tied into the clergy or like maybe becoming pope or being a priest or being a bishop or something like that in the ecclesiarchical system, maybe is what they'll call it. But that is where grace is right now. So then back to this, it costs a lot, which is good for the economy. So it's plus for the economy. Really good for the economy. But Again, no effort in terms of travel. This is a negative for community. Actually, we're going to take that back. I don't actually think it is. I think this is actually a plus for community as well. And that is because more people will be able to play together with less barriers to entry. They don't have to sit there and travel for 3 hours in order to get to an event. That is actually a plus. But the reason why I'm erring on the bad side is that there's it's a minus for like immersive gameplay. I also think that it is a detriment to exploration. It's a minus for exploration. And I think what I mean by that is one of the things that sold me on Pax Day at the very beginning was this idea that if we were out in the world, if we're out and about, if we're running around, if we're playing the game like we normally would, and we have to go somewhere, you're going to accidentally run into to other people. You're going to accidentally run into maybe hidden caves, maybe hidden types of mobs. Maybe you find a book while you're walking along the road. With fast travel, you're not going to have to do that. It's also going to be bad for progression. And what I mean by that is actually with regards to achievement. And the reason for that, has anyone in chat played New World? Has anyone in chat played New World? A simple yes would suffice. Perfect. Yeah. Remember in New World how in game when you're doing the main story quest, you have to keep going back to that godforsaken schmuck in Windsward who's fishing, and for some reason, I still haven't figured it out, I had to kill him. Does anyone know why we killed him? What was his name? Jonas? Does anyone know why we kill him? Like, he was a fisherman, and then we killed him. There's multiple problems, multiple layers of problems with New World. I'm not even going to start on why, but what I'm getting at is New World had a lot of other things that you could go and explore. You could hear the wonderful wood chopping from some random bot that definitely wasn't from China, farming wood to sell for real world money. But you could hear that immersive chopping sound in the forest as you are lost and potentially getting chased down by a murderous horde of PvP players. But you would miss out on a lot of it because when you have to go to Jonas, the fisherman that we kill for some reason, you just keep on going back to the stupid shrine that's located there, and then you spend a minute and a half walking through a bunch of mobs that nobody cares about because you're already level 60, 45, or whatever you're at. And you just keep going back to the same place, and nobody cares. Nobody cares about Jonas. Nobody cares about the stupid fish. Nobody even knows why we killed him. I don't know why we killed him. But the fact of the matter is that when you have fast travel in a game, players are optimization addicts. I stuttered there. They're addicted to doing the most optimum path, the path of least resistance. So if you give us fast travel ability, we are going to just fast travel. We're just going to fast travel. So it is going to make players be able to achieve things faster, which is not good for a sandbox game that does not have much stuff to achieve right now. That's my only problem with it. When you get down to it, when I say I don't know how I feel about it, it's because players are going to be able to achieve more quickly which then isn't going to help. It's not going to help as much. It's not going to help as much with player population. Michael, Treon, you mentioned, I really feel like this game is dead. They haven't implemented anything they said they would. Lore via Discord, nah. Fast travel where? In your own zone, lol. But yeah, no, there's players. If I had fast travel, I'd show you where the players are. We're running the dungeon run right now. There's several players that are all chilling right up here. Of course, I'm late as usual to this, and I've been talking instead of running, which was to be expected. So, it is what it is. But I mean, let me see who's in the dungeon run right now in this channel. Let's take a look. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 10 people in the Golden City dungeon run tonight. They're not all Golden Company players. They're not me, but they're running it. JC is there actually right now. Honey is there right now. They're just tuned in and listening to support the channel while they're off going and murdering stuff. And they're watching my progress. When I say I'm 20 minutes out, they now will be able to watch the magic happen as I am 20 minutes out. I think it's safe to say, y'all, that I'm not going to make it to the dungeon. Or if I do, it's going to be after I turn the stream off, which isn't going to be for a while. But I really feel like this game has delivered on the things that they have mentioned. It has delivered on many of the things that they have mentioned. And it just hasn't delivered on the things that maybe we want them to deliver on. And what I mean by that is, Michael, if you could jest me for a second. Let me take a drink here. Tell me one feature that you know Pax Dei has mentioned or that you say that you want, and just describe that feature to me. I'm just curious. I'm there with you. Everyone has that feature that they want in the game. What is that feature for you? Because, crafting items with a bonus. Okay, cool. That's a great one. Thank you for answering it. I appreciate that. I'm not trying to call you out, by the way, either. So don't take it that way. But okay, crafting with a bonus. So when you're talking about crafting with a bonus, are you referring to the potentiality or what the devs have talked about in the past, where when you're crafting, you will be able to apply certain attributes or modifiers to your craft when you successfully craft it, depending on the success level of your craft? Is that, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about? And then in reference to that, the reason why a bar exists is to gauge how much success, not just for your experience, but for the potential to get stuff. They've also even mentioned, okay, cool. So, in addition to that, they've also said that you will be able to apply certain materials in crafting in addition to the normal materials, and that will increase your chances of getting certain statistics rolled for your crafted item. And the reason why this is important, and if you are a crafter, as many of you are, if we go back all the way to like Star Wars Galaxies, right? There was that weapon that was made by that guy or that girl, that that random Twi'lek in Tatooine, that for whatever reason they were making the best weapons, the most hot weapons. And at the very bottom of that weapon, it said crafted by so and so, right? That's what crafters want in most games. They want the ability to make a name for themselves, and for them, yes, the money, it's lucrative. They can get money and rapport from everyone by selling the best weapons, but by selling those unique weapons and having that, that watermark saying Eltarii made this weapon. It is a unique weapon that you'd have to go and find him in order to make it. That is an important feature. That is an important feature that is not in the game yet. In addition to it not being in the game, though, we also have to note that it was never on the roadmap to be in the game yet. However, I have a suspicion. That we are going to be seeing a reformat, so to speak, of crafting in the near future. Verse 3 maybe, but probably sooner rather than later. And this is kind of pie in the sky. Obviously, everything's pie in the sky. If it's not in game, it's pie in the sky. The pie is not here, it's in the sky. And in some ways, that's okay. And with that, yes, Athena, recycling as well. Recycling is going to be an important one. Now, with the specificity of this particular crafting being something that exists, in a verse, I would be remiss to say that they have said anything other than they're retrofitting the crafting system at any point in time. They have not. The developers have not had on their roadmap that there will be unique attributes or special abilities to craft, or attributes to craft onto, or random selections of a particular type of material into the game. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that at all. That is something that they've mentioned they're going to put into the game. It just hasn't been on a roadmap. I think the problem with roadmaps is development timelines change a lot over the course of a game's development. I wouldn't know necessarily from firsthand experience. I'm not a game designer. However, it is safe to say that it is definitely a thing that happens in development. I mean, this is my first rodeo playing an MMO. Things change when it comes to what features are being developed. Players give feedback. They press that F8 button. And they say, hey, I'm looking for this feature. And then the developer sees, hey, like 30% of our player base is talking about this. So then what do? Well, guess what? When the game released, a vast majority of the players, all pressed F8. And what did they say? They said, hey, we want better combat. And what happened? Pax Dei hired a really nice guy who on Discord is Osric. He is one of the developers. He is I think, senior developer for combat or combat mechanics. They brought him on less than a year ago, probably close to 8 months ago now, maybe 7. I don't know. Sometimes he stops in on streams. He might be able to say that himself here in a bit. It's pretty early for him, though, still. But nevertheless, what did they do? They hired a guy to do combat and to reformat their combat system in a way that was suiting the players and how they wanted it. That was a major pivot. That was a major pivot on their roadmap. A lot of features got realigned, and they've been desperately working, I feel like, in some ways, on improving combat. And we're starting to see the improvements of that. We saw some early fixes that came in, several early fixes that came in with the Proving Grounds update, and they continued to revise some stuff with the Marketplace update. However, now we're seeing more sizable changes. In verse 3, and we can pull that up. In verse 3, let's... Freaking badgers. In verse 3, let's scroll up here. Whomp. In verse 3, it says they're adding new spells, they're adding a new weapon type, they're adding revamped abilities for melee weapons, and then revamped cloth, leather, and metal gear. What does that mean when we say they're getting revamped? That means, firstly, most importantly, actually, we are getting 3 combat abilities. These are going to be, I think, hotkeyed to Q, E, and F or R. One of those. You'll be able to rebind them nevertheless. But there are 3 new combat abilities that are going to be getting linked to your weapons, and that will improve the dynamics of what you're doing. In other words, every weapon now, you're going to have, instead of just having this one attack that is a special attack, you're going to have 3 attacks. So instead of just left clicking, you're going to have more control over the things that you're doing. That is an implementation. I'm not going to attribute it to Osric, but that is a direct implementation based on player feedback. Players didn't like just left clicking and, using spells every so often. They wanted more. That is an implementation that has changed the roadmap sizably, I would argue, right? What other things are coming to this? What other things are we getting? More than 15 spells. That has already been confirmed. We're getting a skinning tool. That's cool. Revamped combat XP progression. What do you all think revamped combat XP progression is going to be? I think it's primarily, first and foremost, a confirmation that if we're getting revamped combat XP, then we're probably going to get our skills reset, is my guess. It's my guess. Why? Because why would you improve the way that we get skills if everyone already has level 40 in their combat skills? You do the math. Tell me what you think. But then we also have, there's got to be a better way for me to do this. There we go. Fast travel miracle coming in before verse 3. Oh, I think that's because they had the miracle done fast and they wanted to get the miracle out before they get everything else in there. Okay. So I do think that is going to improve our experience with leveling up these things, make it feel a tad less grindy, right? But we're also getting the building sets that we've been waiting for and all of that. That's great. Storage and crafters in starting area. That's a reason why we're probably going to be getting that. And the fact that provinces are getting resized. Provinces are getting resized as well. We're getting, I think, 2 or 3 more provinces, or not provinces, home valleys in each province. So in Isgalia, there's going to be several more home valleys, which also means there's going to be several more Petra days for you to teleport to, which again means the world's getting smaller. It's getting smaller and smaller. But that's another thing. Now let's see here. Havoc Prime, higher level mobs need to be better loot tables, either higher chance of better loot or more of it. Yeah, I would say that is actually a confirmed change. So Osric has come in to the official Discord and said that the way that itemization is working is going to quintessentially change in verse 3. That is from his mouth to my ears to your ears. That is what is going to be happening. I think that can mean a lot of different things, though, too, right? It'll be able to, it's going to be good, in my opinion, in that specific respect. Now, for the rest of the spring update, we know that we're getting a new animal, a wild goat. I think that means we're also going to be getting new leather pieces or new progression in some of our crafting disciplines. So that's going to be one thing. Another exciting thing to do with combat, though, milk for new recipes. Yeah, that would be awesome. I'd love some milk. Revamped cloth, leather, and metal gear. Okay. There's a couple of ways that this can happen. If we're talking about revamped gear, specifically what they're referring to, I believe, has to do with when you are a character that's wearing primarily leather armor, there is going to be differences than if you are a character who is wearing heavy armor. Right now, people say, Eltarii, you're crazy. You are wearing cloth armor and you're going to a temple, which is the most difficult class of dungeon that you can go to in the game. And to which I say, yes, I am crazy. And no, this is not a problem for me because I've played the game long enough and there's enough people going where this isn't necessarily a problem. It is going to be a problem in the future because mobs right now are trash. NPCs, specifically enemy NPCs, their AI suck. And there are going to be changes that are coming. Primarily, and this is what I hope, we will not be able to body block an enemy, use consecrated ground from a mile away, have two people go and just stand in front of it and act as blockers for the quarterback and murder the Zebian that's in front of them without any harm ever coming to him because the Zeb is trying to run to the player who has the consecrated ground down, which is it generates a whole heck of a lot of threat, and they just keep on wanting to go to them instead. Mobs who can't path successfully to a player should automatically repath to the closest enemy player that they can target, or at the very least, when they are attacking, I also think that there is a really fun way that we can make fights more interesting and strategic, and that is if when an enemy swings their weapon, if you are in front of their weapon and your character is hit by their weapon in a hit detection calculation, then you're hit by their weapon. In other words, you can't just have 50 people that are all ganged up on a single Zebian in the same place and just have one person absorb all of the damage, even though everyone is clearly going to be getting hit by that same Zebian 3-hit combo, right? That would change the dynamics significantly about how we play as players in Pax Dei, how we play against NPCs. It will add a significant depth of strategy, but with it, you have to have new skills and abilities, nominally more threat-generating skills. You have to have more variety when it comes to healing abilities, and you also have to have more variety when it comes to stamina abilities. One of my favorite skills or spells specifically that have been added to the game, this guy right here. This is the best spell in the game. Everyone is sleeping on it, but this is the best spell in the game. I don't care what you have to say. I don't care at all what you have to say. And the reason for this is because for the most part, this spell can make someone invincible. You can become invincible, not you specifically, but you can make your friend pretty much invincible with this spell. Why? You get 50 stamina back at 0 cost to you, and you have a 30-second recharge timer. And if you can't target someone, look at what happens. Watch this. We're just running. We're doing our normal thing. We're running. We're like, man, where'd my stamina go? I don't know. Where did it go? It's back in your pool. You can heal yourself in your own stamina. So you can even recover your stamina that way. It's a free stamina pot. That's awesome. That's a really cool spell. We need more stuff like that. And the reason why I actually say this spell is really, really good is because if you actually have a dedicated tank who is generating enough threat, then you don't need to wear armor because your tank is the one taking all of the damage. We've tested this extensively. We do 3-man dungeons. We go into temples. We clear out the entire temple with 3 people. What are the 3 people equipped with? Most of them are equipped with cloth. One person's equipped with the best plate armor that you can get in the game and basically no magic other than a very cheap consecrated ground spell. And then we just heal their stamina over and over and over again. They block. They bring like 12 shields to a dungeon, and it's just easy pickings the rest of the way. It's super easy. I just revealed our 3-man strat to everyone. Take notes, record it, do whatever you need to do with it. It's super easy in order to do that. And you don't have to cheese the dungeon. You don't even have to cheese the dungeon. You can play the game the way that the devs kind of wanted us to play, where instead of just body blocking a Zebian and getting free attacks on it while it's trying to figure out how the hell it's supposed to path around the one player blocking them, you can just have that player absorb the damage and be a tank, an actual dedicated tank, and keep hitting. And believe it or not, it's actually a fun way to play the game. It's a very fun way to play the game. I highly recommend trying it out. Obviously, like I said earlier in the stream, players take the path of least resistance. The path of least resistance right now is basically stand on the corner of a wall, block the pathing, the direct line of pathing for a Zebian, and then just keep left clicking until the thing stops breathing. That's pretty much the strategy right now. I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's stupid. And I think you're just shooting yourself in the foot when you play it that way because it's unfun. It's not fun. It's stupid. It's a bad way to play the game. I'm not gonna hate on how people play the game, but I think you're shooting yourself in the foot if you play the game that way because you're gonna get bored of it really quick because you're gonna have to buy a new mouse. You're gonna have to buy a new mouse because you left click too much and now you have no good mouse. You can't left click anymore. You have to buy a new mouse. We don't want you to buy a new mouse. Play the game like a more fun way. Try it out. Tell me how it is. You can say, Eltarii, you're stupid. This is a stupid thing. And you're actually the dumb one for doing it this way. It's so suboptimal and all of that. But at the end of the day, look, I'm still playing Pax Dei and having fun because I'm not left clicking as much. I'm playing it strategically and making things more hard on myself. I don't know. I don't know how else to say it. But either way, getting back to whatever I was ranting on, what's coming? What's on the horizon? At the very beginning of the stream, we said, are mounts coming? Mounts are coming. They're coming. They're going to be here. They will probably be here at the end of summer update or the fall update. I think the fall update is going to be the release of the game. I think mounts will come before the game is released. It would make sense for them to come before the game is released. It would be a great way for them to generate some interest back in the game before it's released by releasing mounts before. But they want to make sure that the mounts look good. Right now, the mounts look okay. They don't look the best. They don't look bad. They look okay. Additionally, we're getting gear customization. What other things were added? Trade towns and revamped PvP. Revamped PvP and trade towns. Let's talk about those really quick because those, obviously, they interest me quite a bit. I love PvP. PvP is my favorite thing. I think it adds a whole layer of storytelling to the game. That makes it more immersive. It gives people a reason to log in. What up, Dimothy? How are you doing? Rice Bits. How are you doing? Either way, what am I talking about? What am I talking about when I say trade towns? Trade towns, I think, are going to be a place that you can go to, possibly in the Wildlands, possibly in another zone that might have different types of PvP rules. Possibly. We don't know. However, there was a critical hint that was provided to us and one that I think many people slept on. What possibly could I be referring to? Well, what I'm talking about specifically is the developers mentioned in a FAQ, something to do with locks on doors. What do you think is important about there being a lock on a door? What do you think could be important about there being a lock on a door? Okay, so if you have a lock on a door, why would you need it? Currently in Pax Dei, there is absolutely nothing that can be done if someone walks into your home. That's fine. Why? Because your boxes are all locked. They can't get into it. There would be no reason for you to need a lock on your door right now because nobody can do anything with the stuff that's inside your room. It's physically impossible. Now, obviously, if you don't want them in there for some RP reasons, I totally respect that. It's not something that you would add to the game as a feature unless it is actually a feature of the game. Meaning, you're probably going to need to protect your stuff at some point in time or another. I think it's connected to the trade towns. I think trade towns are going to be connected to it in some way, or there's going to be some other form of PvP related content that is going to allow players to build in the PvP zone or build something that can be PvP'd against. And you are going to need to lock a door so that some players can get in and other players cannot. Maybe eventually it turns into a giant gate and you can close it or not. But there's no reason to add the lock, and everyone slept on it. I don't know why anyone slept on this. Why did everyone say, oh, it's locked, cool, whatever? This is like big news because it means that there's going to be a reason to lock others out. Not just because you don't like other people and you want to keep them out emotionally speaking. That's an entirely different thing in and of itself. But exactly correct. It is knighthoods. Because why? Because who? Because the knight roll that's coming. Revamped PvP, revamped provinces, trade towns. Trade towns are an important thing. Why? Because when I go to get more grace, oh Jesus. Let me take care of this really quick. When I go to get more grace, it costs me 270 gold just to get a measly 60 grace. All right. That is the ability to transport myself or teleport myself 2 gates over. I can go from where I'm at currently all the way to the Wildling Gate. Then I can cross the zone line and take myself all the way to, I forget what the Northern Carries gate is to Gallia or to Ancien, but you'll be able to go there, right? That's only 60. Trade towns are going to be super important because you're going to be able to trade things with players in a central location. If there is a way for us to make the Golden City a trade town and keep it safe for all players to be able to use and access, that is what we are going to do because trade is that important. Because if you want to use grace for anything like connecting with your friends halfway across Pax Dei because they found this really cool mountaintop area that they just had to build their freaking castle on, even though it was nowhere near to be found to literally any other player population, you'll still be able to go and visit them and take like 5 seconds to do it. And maybe they can just pay you in gold. Or better yet, in the future, there's going to be a bigger resource distribution. So maybe that player that does have that mini castle that's located on that really cool hill all the way down in Tricassus where literally no one is right now because it's so freaking far away from everything, that player has access to more limestone so that they're able to get more limestone and then they can go and sell that limestone for a whole heck of a lot more than the people who are sitting in Aris because we have so many people in Aris that you can only get maybe like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 nodes of limestone every 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Yeah. So I think it's really important for us to have things like trade towns to incentivize players to actually do trade. And if there's a way for that to fit into the PvP dynamic in one way or another, that's even more better. But I think locks are connected to this in some way, shape, or form. It could be revamped PvP in Lioness specifically. Who knows? Lioness in specific needs a revamp. If you go to Lioness right now, what is going on there? Stuff is buggy as hell. Like things are literally coming in and out of existence, like all of the time. Like trees, mountaintops, rocks, fades in and out of existence. It looks like the whole zone is buggy as hell. It needs a retrofit. Hopefully they can just fix the buggy nature of it at some point in time, but it is something that is definitely coming. They know about it. They have put it on the roadmap. That is something that when we go back and are evaluating the say-do ratio for mainframe, they said they're going to revamp Lioness. They're going to revamp Lioness. We're going to wait and see. Next thing. New furniture, new enemies, improved permission systems. That's, again, the locks, I think, as well. Revamp revamp, tomato, potato. Wes, how are you doing? I've missed you, buddy. Gear customization. Let's talk about gear customization. People talk about the dye system. I can't. But there's stuff that exists with dyes, and we've seen them tease it on the Unreal Fest demo that they had. They showed a bunch of the different dyes, and you can change the patterns for your gear. You can change how it looks. It's going to add a lot more variety to how things look. Hopefully, if you want to change how things look in that way, you will also have to change how add additional materials to it. You can't just come in and, have it and not care about it or leave it or do whatever. Like that's not something, I don't think that would be cool. I don't think that's what we should do. It doesn't sound right in terms of like, why would you make a system in that way? You don't make a system in that way. But either way, it is a type of change that is coming. It's a welcome change, and not even a change. It's an addition. Additions are different. Additions are better, and they're not revamps. Now, let's take a look at some other things that are coming without dying. Oh, that's a big bear. I don't think we can chunk this bear in the same way that we were chunking other things. Certainly not without taking this wonderful chunk of health as well. Should be okay. Maybe. We'll see. We'll have to see a little bit more. It's like, I want the bear to die, but at the same time, he wants me to die. Yeah, I don't even want to screw around with that. We're just gonna use the second best skill in the game, a free sprint. Girls want dyes for clothes. Also, we want to change hairstyles in game. Yeah, that's an important one, Athena. I think that having some kind of stylistic option or the ability to change, especially in the future, Pax Dei is an MMO, so things change over time, and you don't want to be locked into a hairstyle. Maybe they come out with new hairstyles. Maybe there's cosmetic changes that you can buy in a marketplace store that you'd be able to utilize. That's something that people want. I feel like that's important. Girls want to be able to hide our helmets. I don't know how I feel about hiding helmets. I like that you if you want to have the benefit of the armor, you have to actually wear it. And this is a hot take. I don't believe in transmogs. I understand why people want transmogs, that you can have the coolest armor and the best armor, but I think there's something important, especially in Pax Dei, with being able to identify what type of armor people are wearing and actually know, especially in PvP. So, yeah, we play for the fit. I know. Transmogs, in my opinion, they detract or they take away from players. I don't know. I feel like if you want to look good, there's a time and a place to look good. But if you want to go and fight in a dungeon, there needs to be some visual communication of what that is. In other words, let me call back to New World again, just because I love that game so much. In New World, I was able to actually, this was a strategy in PvP. I was in heavy armor, but I transmogged my heavy armor to look like light armor. So then what would happen is I would, in wars, I would bait people out to come and attack me as I was sitting on the flag or sitting on the point that they had to capture. And they would see me wearing cloth armor and assume that they'd be able to kill me really, really quickly. And then I would come in, they'd hit me once, and it would be like oh, damn. And they'd realize, oh, I'm not going to be able to kill him fast. And by the time they tried to get away, they couldn't because I'd slowed them down, CC'd them into oblivion, and it was done. It was GG for them. That was a strategy that was kind of prevalent for a while. People would use that all the time, and you wouldn't know, oh, are they in light armor? Are they in heavy? It doesn't really matter what they're in because they're all wearing random cloth armor and look like court jesters running around. Fun as it is, I think that there is a place for having to have at least a visual representation of your character. On the flip side of that, I also think we need more variety for all of the things that we are wearing, and they need to fix a lot of the collisions and meshing that happens both on the female and the male side for armors. I think it is criminal that this cape is still popping through in certain types of armor that you wear if you're wearing like pauldrons or something like that. It really can get in the way, and I don't like that it can. It's not nice. It is not cool. But that is just my own personal take. Not gonna lie, I hope they eventually update the character models too. We fugly. Yeah, character models are one of those interestingly difficult things, especially since they are an MMO. If we make our characters now and then they come out with new facial features in the future, then they're going to have to give us opportunities to change it. So they kind of have to lock down how they want their character creation to be in some ways sooner rather than later. They've already added variety when it comes to like beards and mustaches on men, but the faces, I feel like we need more face variety, more facial variety in some way, shape, or form, or the ability to change and customize some more things. The face is a really important one, and it's Unreal Engine, so I mean there's the capabilities of going really far where you could just take a picture of yourself and put it on there and it'll make a character that looks like the picture you posted. Clearly there's some issues with some of that, people taking some pictures of other people that are not them and putting it on there, but either way, Unreal Engine, there are games that exist on Unreal that support literally that feature. Either way, some additional layers of customization are going to be much, much welcomed. Revamped PvP, specifically when it comes to the night rolls. So knighthoods, soldiers, being a soldier versus being a knight. We know that knighthoods, you're probably going to have to be anointed in some way, shape, or form by a priest. So grace and knighthoods are going to be tied together in one way, shape, or form. We don't know how yet. We just know that they've mentioned, it was in a French article that came out around the same time that the marketplace update came out, and they mentioned talk of knighthoods as well as guilds, like crafting guilds, like in similar fashion. You might have to spend grace or have a priest do something to pay grace in your stead or something like that, and then you get anointed a knighthood. There might be some kind of dynamic there where knighthoods have to, you go and kill players and you need to go and repent or something like that, or remove sin points or something. This is me coming up with stuff. This is not real. We don't know yet. But I think there's going to be some kind of dynamic where we, the players, if you're engaging in PvP, you need to go back and exchange in some way, shape, or form the stuff that you've accumulated with like a player who's a priest or practicing the religion in Pax Dei. And where I think that's important then is it allows the priests to maybe gain grace in an alternative way other than just paying for it. And it also increases the amount of interactivity between players that Pax Dei kind of touts as, their social sandbox. So any system probably needs to have some type of connection or connector between players, and I think that would be a really great one for the knighthood system. But knighthoods are going to be really interesting, and it's also, Ostrich was in one of the channels in the official Discord, and the way that he was talking made it seem like there might not be PvP outside in the Wildlands, and that is actually different from when we have seen the devs talk about PvP in the past, where they mentioned like knighthoods specifically. They gave the impression that you might be able to, if you're in a knighthood, kind of go to war and fight at any point in time, like not just specifically in a probably not the home valleys, but in the wilderness or in the dungeons. If you're a knight in a knighthood and you're in another knighthood from a warring faction steps into the dungeon, then they might be able to kill you even if you're in the dungeon or in the wildlands. They also mentioned, Ostrich specifically said that in the dungeons that are in the PvP zone, they've considered now, based on request by players, to add a dungeon type in a PvP zone. It's not going to be anything special. You're not going to be able to get anything specific from that dungeon, but you will be able to get a maybe an increased drop rate or something like that. So I think that is a cool thing. A cool thing that would definitely add some dynamics. I could see us going to Lioness and just going into that dungeon and farming it, and then have another group come in, and now we have to fight them, or another group's in there, and you have to decide whether or not you fight the group or not fight the group, or however you do it. It is, fun stuff. Fun stuff. So, okay. What else did I want to talk about? Mounts and improved NPC behavior, and then we'll get to the lore. I'm just looking and making sure that we haven't missed anything else. I am interested as well. I guess one thing that I see here is improved crowd control. Improved CC is going to be big. Giving us more ways to control fights is never a bad thing. Now, the interesting thing, I believe, is going to be that if we're getting more control, then there needs to be a reason to control more. What do you mean? I mean that if we are able to control an enemy better using CC, the enemy needs to be smarter so that we have a reason to control them. Because right now, there's no reason to control them other than, like, Mez is really great. Pacify is really great. In fact, if I had Mez and Pacify, then I wouldn't be as terrified walking through this place as I am right now, because I'm probably going to aggro a ghost and they might kill me on stream, and that would be very sad and embarrassing. But ghosts are OP as heck, and they don't drop anything, which makes me even more sad. So they're not even juicy, and they just hurt. I'm wearing cloth, and this is a bad idea, but we're here anyways, and we're doing it. And we're live, and he died there last night. But having the ability to control mobs past just the point of, like, it's a Mez. They don't attack you. Like who cares if they don't attack you? If you have better ways of controlling them, like in a fight, where now there's more dynamic going into the fight, that's good CC. That's a good skill where you feel like you're doing something important. An example of this would be like being able to knock back. Knockbacks would be a really cool addition to Pax Dei. You can start controlling the physical position of a mob in a fight. And this will be important. Why? Because if you can control the positioning of a mob, then when their AI is better and they're not just beelining it to the guy that dropped the consecrated ground, then you're going to have to actually control where the mobs are and push them in a certain direction. Just being able to interrupt spell casts reliably will be huge. Completely agree. I think that's just going to be a generic change that's coming in, but having interrupts or feints are going to be big. Having the ability to parry an attack would be great, where it's maybe a slight skill shot. Maybe you press one of these special these new ability buttons, and it's actually a trigger ability. So you trigger it, and then for the next 0.5 seconds, if an attack comes in that would have hit you, instead your character blocks the damage and does a small amount of damage back. That'd be a really cool ability. So Spry, fun fact that you mentioned AoE Mez would be good for group play. AoE Mez does exist. It's called Haunting Memories, and you can get it right now in game. And Haunting Memories is really, really cool because it's kind of like your oh crap button. You can press that button and every enemy that's around you gets mezzed. It's a lower effect, so there's less duration on it, but it is still basically the exact same spell. They can be aggroed on you, and then you use that ability and they're no longer aggroed on you as much. So yeah, Haunting Memories, really good spell. Sorry, spoilers if anyone was wondering. How about that special helmet that allows PvP anywhere with others that are wearing that helmet? So Athena, I think that helmet that you're talking about is going to just be knighthoods. So rather than having to wear a specific piece of gear, it's just going to be you're in an organization called the knighthood. Pax Dei is going to have multiple organizations that you can be a member of at the same time. Knighthoods being one of them, so you can be in a clan, a knighthood, and maybe like a guild. A guild is for crafting. Knighthood is for PvP or PvP related things, and then a clan is your closest friends in game that you trust with being able to build stuff with and all of that. So there's several different organizational types, and I think knighthoods is just one of them. Now, the cool thing about knighthoods is that they do draw player interaction. So I mentioned, in order to become a knight, there's this possibility that you might have to actually spend grace or have, a priest spend grace to make you a priest or make you a knighthood. And when you do that, you go to a priest, you say, hey, Mr. Priest, I would like to become a knighthood. They say, great. It's going to cost money, or it's going to cost you something. You give them whatever they say it costs. And then they say, awesome, you are now a knighthood. And as a knighthood, you're going to be able to appoint soldiers. Why? Because if being in a knighthood or having a knighthood costs grace, not every player is going to want to spend money on grace to have that knighthood, but they still want a PvP. So then they become anointed soldiers in a knighthood, right? And that's where that comes from. So then theoretically, if you're in a knighthood and you're going to war, you've declared war against some kind of, group or whatever, then you will be able to go to war with them. And then theoretically, you'll be able to do this in any kind of particular setting other than home valleys, because they said home valleys will not have PvP, period. That's what they've said. That's what they've mentioned. That's what we know to be true. Now we're getting attacked by everything and their mother. Let's just stab those to death. And we're going to make our wonderful dash into the wonderful world down below. This is typically where you can die if you're not careful, but we will be careful, so it's okay. So the trick here, to get to right about here, that sets them off, and then we run and run and run. We hit that wonderful little health potion, jump our way up, down, and in. Look at that. Now we're at Pelipis. It didn't take altogether too much damage either. Now you do want to get actually away from this and into the actual dungeon, because those mobs can actually still come down and they're still aggroed to you, so that would not be good. They told two friends that I was there. Yeah. So anyways, welcome to Pelipis, y'all. Let's see if we can find that dungeon run that's going on. See if we can find them. I need to get my health back a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on this. Oh, hello, Tiberius. Hello. Let's do a little salute. Hello. Hello. Oh, y'all are upstairs. Back to front. Eltarii is here. Yes. Yes, I am. So either way, those are kind of my thoughts there. Let's talk about the lore a little bit, since we've kind of teased all this stuff. There's a lot of other things that are kind of coming as well that would be interesting to talk about at length. Maybe if you're super attentive to a lot of it. We did get also a post today about the development of this Discord system and partnership. My hope with the Discord focus that they have is that we'll eventually be able to link our servers regionally or have them co-located in some way, shape, or form, so that like if you're at the Golden City, you'll be able to join the Golden City Discord if you wanted to and interact with people in that way. But yeah, that's that. Now let's scroll up a little bit, and we have all of these different lore posts that were made. If you all had to choose one lore post that has been made in Pax Dei that you wanted to talk about specifically, which one would you want to talk about, chat? Like, what would be the one that if you could pick one that Eltarii could explain in vivid detail, which one would that one be? Like, if you had to pick. Classically, I'm going to die because I'm not even looking. I was looking in like 3 other places. Let me just get picked up here. I've tripped and fallen and I can't get up. Thanks, Tiberius. Let's whip this out. Let me heal up a bit too. Any specific type of lore that chat would love us to talk about today? And, you know, for people saying, oh, hey, like, who's nobody's in game. Nobody's in game. Nobody's in game. No players. There's no one. You all don't exist. All of you do not exist. Look at that. You non-existent players. Look at all of the people represented here. You got the Golden Company, Asmodean Empire, Emberborn, Blossom Blade, Elkwood, Valkyrie's Verdant Vanguard, the Crossroad Coven. I think I already said Emberborn, but the Black Company as well. We've got them all. We've got a lot of people here. There's a lot of people playing. You just have to focus them in. Dragon's Den's here as well. Got Blueberry. Or not Blueberry, Kitten. Do we have Blueberry? I don't even know if Blue's here. But there's people here. Let's get going, though. We don't need to all stand here and stare. We can go somewhere. You guys keep doing what you're doing. I mean, I know you're listening to the stream, so yeah, just keep doing. Oh yeah, Fake Blue's here. Lead on. I will follow. I'm gonna keep on talking because I want to. Okay, so Havoc said the 9 previous creations. So we'll talk about the 9 previous creations. Let's come over here. Let's take a look. Let us take a look. So, let me just, yes. Let me just do this really quick. Need to group up with people. Who do I need to group up with? Shuan and Drax. There's Drax. Invite to party and Shuan. Where's Sean? Invite to party. There we go. Look at that. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're talking about the 9 previous creations. So in Pax Dei lore, there are a total of how many creations? 10. And the 9 previous creations basically were ended by a type of sin that came into the world. So there are several different types. And in fact, we have this wonderful story here by, keep scrolling, right here. And let's make it a little bit bigger. And this is the creation, the 9 creations before. So the first, and it's important to understand exactly what is going on with Pax Dei lore in specific. There are several big baddie demons. The penultimate, or not the penultimate, the ultimate of which is known as the Dark Lord or the Great Deceiver. Dark Lord, Great Deceiver, whatever you want to call him, the big baddie, he represented the sin of anger. And he was the first of the demon princes to rebel against the divine. And I believe he was an angel before becoming the great big baddie. And he represented anger. We don't know much more about the story behind the fall other than he got angry and was most likely upset at the treatment that he was receiving in relation to everyone else, and rebelled against the divine in that way. Okay. When that rebellion happened, there was equally a grace that was given as well, or a what they called a heavenly virtue. A heavenly virtue was bestowed upon the world. Now, we don't exactly know much more about what the heavenly virtues are in this regard, other than if the princes, the demon princes, the archdemons, as you might call them, like the Dark Lord, were they are physical things that exist. So then a virtue could be another physical thing that exists, like another, not person, but being or entity. We don't know, though. That's kind of a big mystery. In fact, this post has several pretty big mysteries that it introduced into it. The penultimate one being heavenly virtue. And then also, I would say the biggest one is the fact that there's trolls, ogres, mermaids, kelpies, wyverns, and remnants. We don't know what a remnant is. I think potentially a remnant might be the lost souls, but I would be confused as to why the lost souls don't have their own, like, why would they be called remnants here, but lost souls everywhere else? Lost souls, in my opinion, based on the information that we have available to us, are a result of the ancients. So the lost souls are actually the souls of the ancient empire, I believe. And there was some kind of calamity or something went on with the ancient empire that now these souls are trapped and unable to fully die, I guess is the best way to put it. So nevertheless, these 9 different layers of creation, what are they, or what do they contain? The first one was the deadly sin of anger, and that was what the Dark Lord, the Great Deceiver, was. And then they don't make this seem as though it's in order. That's important to note as well. But we have envy, where Leviathan is there, and then we also have gluttony and levity. So I guess it's important to kind of also let's open up a new one here. Who are the princes? I guess is what we can call them. We have the Dark Lord. And then we have Leviathan. Dark Lord is anger. And the Leviathan is envy. We also have some other kind of connections to these as well. From information that we've kind of gathered. So envy, Leviathan. Leviathan is commonly referred to as like a sea monster, or like an ever encompassing, like very large, all encompassing demon, Leviathan, something in the deep, the dark deep. And when we look at the post specifically, it says another drowned in envy, where the Leviathan coiled through the waters of creation, ever longing. And with that, I think we also can look back at the Redeemers, and specifically we can look at Mayrothia. Mayrothia was the second heavenly descended Redeemer. So there are two different subtypes of Redeemers that we know of so far. You have the heavenly descended ones. So these ones were born in heaven specifically, and they descended from there to bestow upon humanity certain gifts. Most Redeemers are connected with some type of knowledge or understanding, and in specific, Protanoia gave them life and the breath of life, and with it also we had this whole story about a golden tree that drops fruit, and that fruit kept people undying, so to speak. And it was a classic, Eden garden story where humanity wanted more power, and in their power they took everything, and that was not good. And the garden fell apart. Everything died. Demons, not demons, but animals started killing people, and there was no longer a sense of safety that existed previously. And with that, we also have, is the dungeon already almost over? That would be absolutely hilarious. We're taking a picture. I'm going to sit in the back. I wasn't really here. Oh, look at that. Brought some people in. We always take photos at the end of all of our dungeons. Maybe we're not at the end, but maybe people are just having to leave. So we're doing that. My dog is absolutely losing his stuff, and I apologize if you can hear him running in the background. He is actually going insane. Can you guys hear that? That's wild. He's going crazy. Oh, time to... Best emote in the game, by the way. You have to change my mind. I call it the yay emote. Celebrate. I just call it yay. 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 Yeah, he has the zoomies. He is literally running around in circles right now. He's pumped about the lore. He's so excited about it. So pumped. Now, back to the lore, actually. So the Leviathan is connected to the waters of creation. Mayrothia happens to be connected to them as well, specifically with the moon and the tides. And when Mayrothia came, it was said, we had one post that was of the moon. And looks like, let me see, if we're splitting groups, I'm going to be going over here. with the Black Company. So with Mayrothia and the moon, we had one lore post where it was talking about how she is connected. She emerged from the waters, and in that, Mayrothia also rescinded the waters so that humanity could expand and keep going and growing. Now, here's an interesting thing. This is something that I'm still trying to understand myself, is we have this kind of dichotomy. We're talking about the 9 layers of creation. Those are separate from the time in which the Redeemers exist. Okay? The layers of creation are different. When you have a new layer being put on top, humans wouldn't be in the same layers as these other creatures. Or we don't know if they are. We don't know if they're going to split or if they're not going to split or how that is going to work, or how that would work. We don't know. But what we do know is that the Fae come from a different layer of creation. Mermaids come from a different layer of creation. Trolls, different layer of creation. Remnants, different layer of creation. These are all creatures coming from different layers. And layers, donkey, layers. And because of that, I don't think the current Redeemers are connected at the same time to these specific things. However, the Redeemers do also counter the deadly sins that exist. So the Leviathan and Mayrothia are directly opposed to each other. Curious. Now, either way, maybe Mayrothia is created as, and this is something that's entirely possible. The Redeemers are the heavenly virtues that were created. And as they're being created, they actually come in every layer of creation and do the things that they do. Do the things they do best. Oh, we got Lamelon's feeder here. Nice. So I think there's a couple of different possibilities, and we don't have a clear knowledge of that yet. Havoc, I'd love to see them come up with a way to insert this lore directly into the game somehow, like discoverable scrolls that can be collected and stored in monasteries, perhaps a religious system, resources like this. So it's interesting that you say that, mostly because that's what they plan to do. They want it to be located in game, and outside of game is a component that they want to give more context. Like, these are things that our characters, our players would know, just generically, but a lot of this stuff does need to get translated into the game. There's actually a specific system that I'm talking about. That's the book system. It was one of the first things that the developers mentioned when they were talking about their game, and it was one of the things that got a lot of people interested. In fact, it got a lot of people in the Golden Company interested, and part of the reason why this channel exists is because of the system that was teased, and it's specifically with regards to books. So I think that we're going to be getting books in the game at some point in time. I don't want to reveal conversations that I've had in private. However, I think that there is a good reason why we're focused on having lore posts coming out right now. It's kind of a teaser and a build-up. Specifically, I think there's the potential that the book system is something that is reliant on other things being in the game first for it to make sense to be in the game. However, you have Amaroon, who is one of the writers, if not the writer for Pax Dei, who is coming up with literal books. And I will quote him on this. He has specifically told me that he has written books potentially for Pax Dei. So with regards to that, I mean, there is a deep amount of lore. I told him, and what I think would be awesome would be for something like this to be published, like to allow us, the players, to get some of these books would be even cooler. I might be a little biased, but what would be really cool is if they send only a select few of these books to a couple of the leaders of communities in game. They distribute them in a way, and then they use that as a way to, start these mysteries and these physical books that exist in the world. Like I would read them out loud to the channel or scan them and put them online or do something. And it brings together the community in a way that now we're all trying to uncover the mysteries. And maybe this book is part of that. And it's a thing. It's an actual event that we go through in the real world that relates to in-game stuff as well. However, that is not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to have all of these books and stuff in-game so that us as players will be able to go and reference them, uncover the mysteries within them. And it's also important, so this is something that they have mentioned, that just because a book is written doesn't mean everything in the book is 100% true either. You also have to look with regards to who is writing the book, right? So if you have a member of the Inquisition who is writing a book, maybe they are going to talk about how they think they were right. And they're going to assume they were right. And then they're going to write as though they were right. Maybe. And then it's up to us, the players, to read that, understand it, and then interpret it how we want. Maybe that text that says to take a turn to the left and open this door over here might not be the best thing to follow because they wrote it as a trap, or it would be a bad thing, what you're going to unlock instead of a good thing. These are all possibilities. And the one bit that got me really excited is they said, and as part of their original vision for the game, is that these books, this lore that exist, the physical book, like in medieval times, people who owned libraries were no just pauper, your average run-of-the-mill peasant that exists. The people who owned books were kings and clergy and people of high renown, and they want it to be that way in game as well. Now, one of the goals of the Golden Company and the Golden City is to have a library that everyone can access, even though it might be incredibly risky on our part and someone might try and steal some of the stuff. We want to make that stuff accessible to everyone, and we want to put in the work so that everyone can benefit if they want to. And that was part of the founding principles, was basically the idea of this thing existing and us providing a type of service to players to attract them to the Golden City and to build community by providing it as a resource to them. So part of why we're here is because of that. And part of this channel is because of that. So books are something that they are coming. Havoc. They're going to be here. And maybe it's a little bit further out, but they will be coming. And that's the cool thing. That's something that I'm very excited about. But nevertheless, that was a fun little digression. Continuing to talk about the 9 layers of creation. So one of those previous layers saw it being the home layer of the Fae. Now, it is interesting to talk about, like we should talk about the Fae a little bit and what we know about them. We know that the Fae are not necessarily baddies. The Fae are kind of just the Fae. There is a Fae, or a type of mob that is of the Fae variety that exists in game currently, and that is the Wisp. Now, the one thing we know about the Wisp so far is that their level is like 99. They're fat levels. Just the highest level in the game is actually a Fae. It's the Will-O-Wisp. And the Will-O-Wisp, if you kill it, great. It's really hard to, because it runs away the second that you attack it. It doesn't like being attacked and in the slightest. And that is just what it is. They exist in game. Now, what lore do we know about the Fae currently? Sparse. It is sparse. We've gotten a really cool picture of the Fae right here. this big old picture of like a brontosaurus deer. So when I first saw that, I was like, it's like Jurassic Park. They do travel in herds, but not actually that. It was a really cool concept art image, and I do stick to my guns in that I think that we're going to be getting more Fae related stuff in the next couple of updates. Maybe not verse 3, maybe verse 3, but they've definitely teased a lot of images, specifically with what I think is a potential Fae dungeon in the Enchanted Woods or the Woods of Old. And I'm really excited to see where that goes. And then we saw concept art of this really large Bronto deer and among other things. So I'm really, really excited to see what that is. And it's going to incentivize players to go to the parts of the map that they exist. And we don't have a reason to go to them yet. These dungeons and these things will add more reasons to go. And I do think it's about time that we start getting some more of this type of content, mostly because if they're adding new spells, there's only 2 ways they can really go. There's 2 ways that they can really go. And the first one is they can add additional recipes to a single type of shield, for example. It can be the same, Majestic Sigil of Hakamuli might be able to make 2 different types of shields from a single relic, or they have to start adding more relics, and they can't just keep adding more and more elite mobs into dungeons. They might have to add new dungeons to add more elite mobs in them. So I think that we're getting pretty close. If this update doesn't have additional dungeons being if we don't have additional dungeons that are being added, then we will have to probably be getting multiple spells per relic. So you'd be able to craft in like a Majestic Sigil of Hakamuli, you'll be able to craft 2 or 3 different types of armor sets that might give different spells. That's the thought. That's the thought of the matter on it. Now, talking about the Fae, what we know more, there's another aspect of the Fae that we do know, and that is that Dimira was one of the Redeemers, 3rd heavenly descended Redeemer. And she was trying to get back at some really bad baddies. I think they were called the Lords of the Nether. There are 3 of them. And things were looking pretty grim. Dimira sacrificed herself with the help of the Fae. And she then used whatever happened. Dimira ended up not so alive. Not so happy about it either. And the Fae kind of took her body away, and that was that. She ended up imprisoning or putting away the Lords of the Nether, and the problem kind of went away. So she actually sacrificed herself. Dimira and the Fae are pretty heavily connected. Another place where you might know Dimira from is her name is on all of the ancient stela. So when you die, you come back to one of the ancient stela, or you come back to a Petra Day, and that is where you respawn. At some point in time, additional magics were applied to these stones so that we could actually respawn at the locations that were, where they were at. This was done by Armazel and Phaonios. And there's a lore post that specifically talks about that, but I don't think the ancient stela were a way for nature to be protected. I do think it's interesting for nature and humans to be protected, to extend the influence of the Pax Dei, or the divine peace, across the land. You'll notice when you go near an ancient stela, there's actually a little bit of a meadow. And in the meadow, there are these little golden orchids. Those are actually part of Golden Company lore. So the clan that I'm in and help run, that's part of our physical Golden Company lore, but it's also a part of the in-game lore where there was this original golden fruit that Protanoia had made, placed, set, and that in the garden. And now there is this connection with gold and the divine. Classically, gold is considered pure and all of that. So I think that's kind of where those connections come from. So that is pretty cool. That even when you see the dungeon, or not the dungeons, the stela, you see kind of a semblance of that because you see these meadows. Another good thing to look out for when you are in game is anywhere where you see those golden poppy meadows, they're typically around kind of holy sites. So if you go to any of the monasteries that exist in game, like the eyeballs that exist on the map, if you go to any one of those, they're surrounded by meadows with golden poppies, I guess is what they look like on them. All of them do. There's other important locations that also have them at varying degrees as well, and I totally recommend you guys go and check them out because there's some really cool ones. In fact, we had a video with just the monasteries. We went to one of the monasteries, and there was some pretty interesting, unique stuff at them. And then we also went to what is called, what we know to be called the Pilgrim's Cave, based on what we've just learned from past previous wipes when things had names on them. It was called Pilgrim's Cave. Now it has a giant bell, and we got Force Feeder Jeremy. That's Jeremy's beat stick. We like Jeremy's beat stick. It's a pretty good looking beat stick. Let's give Fossey some stamina here. Stamina. There you go. We're gonna switch over to a battle axe as well because it's, I feel like, more appropriate in this particular situation. But yeah, so we're still talking about the different layers of hell, but we do have the Fae. Fae are cool. They have some really cool stuff to do about them. Now, continuing further down, so the Fae do come from a different layer of creation, just like the mermaids, the trolls, the remnants, and all of that. I'll be interested to see exactly. Oh, wow, we got 2 temple cellars as well. That's a really lucky spawning right there. That's awesome. We like that. We like that a lot. Oh, and we're getting tattered sigils dropped too. That's amazing. We love that. Okay, and we got a Wasp Master as well. Wow, this dungeon, it just gives, never takes. That is awesome. Never seen them drop anything except like an Onyx once. Yeah. No, it's they don't need to drop anything. They can just drop the wonderful, wonderful tattered sigils. That's what I like when they drop that. They do have a higher chance of dropping. The higher the level, the more likelihood you have of dropping. It's just that the percentage differences are like you're going from a 4% drop rate to a 6% drop rate. So it's not nearly as noticeable as in other ways. However, when we do have higher level mobs, higher than level 54, you will most likely see tattards dropping a lot more frequently, which is going to be great for players who are looking to get those nice tier 4 magical sets, or even tier 5 tattered sets. And I do think that there's more stuff coming in that way as well. Yeah. Okay, so continuing on, all of these different mystical creatures are things that we're going to be able to see in game at some point in time. I think that's what those are alluding to. Otherwise, I don't know why they would be highlighted. Trolls, ogres, mermaids, kelpies, wyverns, and the like. Kelpies is a fun one. It'll be interesting to see how those are portrayed. And mermaids are also going to be interesting. It makes you wonder if there's going to be water. I'd be curious to see what that would look like, but we'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Let's keep looking here in terms of the different layers and stuff like that. So it does mention that there is actually, the potentiality that we will be able to pick up different artifacts, memories. So memories is another way of, writings, but also artifacts and different magic as well. So that's a really cool addition. And we can also theoretically travel to these other layers. And that is also what's really, really cool is we have these dungeons, right? The temples. And I believe it even mentions it right here. So where the sin takes hold in the world, it digs downward, clawing through the ruins of the past. It begins in the rivulets, shallow and twisted, layers built by cultists of this very eon. Deeper still lies the temples where demonic influence swells and the air thickens with sacrilege and Sodom. And lower still they go, defiling the remains of bygone eras and tormenting the remaining spirits, growing ever stronger to the elusive point of no return where creation ends and hell begins. These are the true domains of demons, not built but birthed, excreted, discharged by the sin and suffering, and shaped into shrines of their own foul design. So basically my interpretation of this is we will be able to venture into the other layers of creation. I think they will be dungeons. I think the lore specifically makes it pretty apparent that going down equals going into old dungeons or different places that are dungeons. You go down. Everything goes down. The Fey realm, where those giant trees are and it looks like you can go down into them, that is going to be a dungeon. It might be an open space when you get there because it's, pancake layers on top. It can be like a land before time or, journey to the center of the earth or whatever, where we do have additional layers, and they can even be a sky in that layer and you're just one on top of the other on top of the other. I don't know. It could be dark. It could be light. It could be anything. We don't know. But you are going down in order to get to the Fey realm. The Fey realm is down there somewhere. Maybe some dungeons will connect. Maybe some dungeons won't. Maybe you'll be able to get to a Fey realm dungeon through a Zebian dungeon. Now, Zebian dungeons are in the current layer of creation. I think Fey realm dungeons are going to be lower than that because they are from a different layer of creation. The Fey do have an effect on the current layer though, so it'll be interesting to see where, like, what layer did the Fey come from? Did the Fey come from an early layer? Did they come from a later layer? And that's why they're able to break through as seemingly easy as they can. The Fey are quite powerful, it seems. And if they came from a different layer, we don't know what they were when they were there, but we do know that they exist. They're connected to nature, and the weak parts of the world that they seem to creep out from are the wooded regions, the ancient, or the woods of old. So that's the cool thing about them. That's why we like the Fae. Fae are cool. Dimerans really like the Fae. They have a strong connection with the Fae. Dimerans are the followers of Dimera, if you're wondering. Atlantis zone, Havoc, you mentioned the Atlantis zone. So the Atlantis zone is definitely something that I feel like they've mentioned multiple times. I mean, specifically there is, when we talk about Atlantis, I believe it was mentioned at the garden. Yes. Atlantis. And yet, not all stayed into the shadow. A few, bearing still the memory of Protenoia's warmth, wandered far and found hidden sanctuaries. These scattered lineages preserved glimmers of the old peace, traces that would one day resurface in the tales of Atlantis and the sanctity of the groves where vines still swirled towards heaven. That's actually where some Golden Company lore comes from as well. So it is believed that way back when the original man that was born in the garden of paradise in Pax Dei, of the original mankind, as they were being effectively thrown out because of basically, destroying the sacred tree by plucking more than what was needed from it. We suffered from gluttony, so to speak, and one of the final ones to leave took a seed from the tree, and they swore a solemn oath to return and rebuild a garden as great as the one that Protanoia had originally planted and sown, and that they would restore the sacred tree of golden fruit. And that's where the Golden Company actually comes from, is that original tree and the golden fruit that comes from it. And these humans were known as the Oath Born. They were born into this oath. They're of the original man that were born, and over time this lineage carried the seeds of this tree and protected it until they could find a place where they could eventually restore it. They hadn't yet, and they suffered for 100 years carrying this seed around until eventually the age of the Scions came. The age of renewal is what it's called, and that is when these humans, us player characters, started spawning into the world, not born, but already grown adults. And that obviously was something that was unheard of. Most humans were born, and so were the Oath Born. But of one of the first of the Scions to appear, one was by the name of Eltarii, who met with the last Oathborn, and through the confirmation of a dream was given, eventually became what is now known as an Oath Sworn, who swore an oath to as a Scion to help restore the grove, the ancient grove, and restore Protanoia's original vision for a garden and the tree. And that's where the Golden Company comes from. We have oath sworn individuals who are looking to return the tree and the seeds back and form a golden city around it, based on the vision that was given to Eltarii. And that's how we fit into that lore. We're going to be posting about it here at some point in the near future as well. We cook in the lore. We cook in the lore section. We try to. We'd love to have some of our lore included in the official lore in Pax Dei. Some of it already is, even. So that's cool to say the least. But lore is a big thing in the game, and it makes players feel like they have a home. And I think it's really cool that the devs are allowing us to kind of integrate some of our stories into the game in a way that most of the time you don't have that opportunity to. I think we talked about a lot of lore. I don't want to extend the lore conversation too much, because we're going to have many, many hours to talk more about lore in detail ad nauseum next week when we do the Great Gallion Crawl. So I think now might be actually a good time for us to end the stream. We talked about a lot. We went through a lot of stuff today. We talked about everything that is coming with verse 3. We touched on a lot of things. We talked about fast travel, my thoughts on fast travel. I'm really excited for it, but also cautiously excited about it, I guess is the best way to put it. We talked about some of the old stuff that's come, some of the new stuff that's coming. Just came in at the end. Don't worry, Hallmount. We do have, this is all being recorded. It's going to be posted pretty much right after the end of the live stream. So you will be able to look and watch all of what we just talked about for the last 2 hours and 15-ish minutes, because we did have a warm-up portion of the stream. But feel free to watch that. If you haven't done so already, please do like this if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this as a recording, or you're here now. Don't forget to subscribe or follow if you're on Twitch. Thank you to everyone who is joining us for the first time today and has been watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this lively conversation. You can tell that my energy is already calmed down from where we started. So thank you for being my energetic outlet for the day. We will be back, like I said, a week from this Saturday for the Great Gallion Crawl, where we're going to go to every single Petra Day and gate location so that you can teleport to wherever you want to in Pax Day, at least for this next wipe. We might turn it into, depending on how many people show up, we might turn it into a consistent thing where we come and go as much as we can, as often as we can, and get players, new players coming in, access to all of those things, and maybe we just trade off what zones we do every week, and we go and do runs. It really depends on player interest. If you are interested at all in finding us in game, the what you're seeing right now, the footage you're seeing right now, is all from a open to the public dungeon run the Golden City puts on. We have players from pretty much every corner of the Pax Day map who come and join us on these things. Right now we have a lot of players because this is a live stream. I think a lot of people wanted to be on the live stream and be here and be a part of it. So we actually divided into 2 groups in the same dungeon and divided and conquered so that we can increase efficiency as well. We do a lot of stuff like this all the time. We run 3 dungeon groups a week. And Doc, hey, nice to see you. We're just ending now, Doc, but glad to see you here. But we do a lot of stuff like this. So if you are interested, go first to Nyx, Innis Gallia, Aris, just the southeast of the Petra Day. When you spawn in, you'll find the Golden City, and when you get there, you can get access to the Golden City Discord as well. You just have to ask around for it, and someone will get it to you. We try and keep it where you have to go to the city in order to get access to it, not just join randomly. You can also join the Professional Gamer Discord. We will have information specifically about the Great Gallion Crawl on there happening next week, which we will be live streaming as well. So I hope to see you there. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all of the amazing things that you're doing. And for one final question from Hallmount, a cool watch, but what time do we think Verse 3 will release? What is the date? What is the release date? Hopefully we'll have more information to share on this channel about a actual release date, but my current prediction for a release of Verse 3 is most likely towards the middle of May. That is my expectation for it. It'll either be around the mid of May or the beginning of June. It really, really depends. One thing that you always have to take into account is Mainframe does take the entire month of July off. The studio kind of goes into a halfway mode. So they do want to get the patch out sooner rather than later before the studio starts to become half operable with, their studio members taking time off to spend with family and do all of that to, maintain healthy relationships outside of work and not burn out. So really, really important for them to get that out before the summer months happen. We'll see. They're getting ready to release, so who knows? Maybe they're not going to go as hard in the paint with time off and all of that. But I think mid to late May, maybe early June, but most likely like May. What day in May are we gonna say? That rhymes. If I had to guess a date, I would say the 20th or the 27th of May. If I had to guess. If you wanted a 3-week period, I would say anywhere from the 20th, 27th to the 3rd. Those are my 3 dates. That's where I'm leaving it. I hope you all, again, enjoyed this live stream. We will be doing it again in the very near future. We still have the PAX Friday review coming out tomorrow. So if you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get notified whenever we post that video. We have several other lore things that are going to be coming out over the next couple of weeks. So if you want to take deep dives into that, we're going hard. We're talking. We'll be talking to the devs as well to make sure that we have clarified material. We're not posting something that is just blatantly incorrect. So we try and do as best of fact checking as we can with that. Do you feel that we have passed 50% of the road to official release? No, I think we're about a month and a half away to the 50% mark. I think official release, if I had to pin it, is going to happen sometime in November, is my guess. Sometime in November is when the release is going to come, hopefully right around the Golden Festival, so that we can celebrate the Golden Festival for the first time in the official release. Golden Festival happens every November at the start of fall. So that's my hot take prediction on that. Thank you for asking it. Thanks again for coming and participating on the live stream and asking. Glad to see it. Please do keep the conversations going over in the Professional Gamer Discord or anywhere else that you can find me. Love to talk, love to engage with all of you. And I love playing this game, playing PAX Day and playing it with all of you. So until the next time, I'm Eltarii, the Professional Gamer. This was a very professional live stream for PAX Day. And until the next one, I will see y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.